I personally think abortion is wrong. Why do you support the women's right to have an abortion?
Well, you know, I think abortion's a difficult moral issue, and I think that different people have different views depending on their faith and their beliefs. What I've consistently said is that after viability, after a child is, or after a fetus is able to live outside the mother's body, outside the womb, then it's appropriate to be able to restrict those abortions, because essentially at that point that fetus can live separate from the mother, and I think we would all agree that we should preserve that life. Before viability, when that fetus can't live outside the mother's womb, you or I may have very personal views about what that fetus is and whether it should be able to survive or not. But it's not our position to impose on that woman something that has to do with her body. You know, it's her body, essentially, that
now, there's a broader issue, though, and that is, can we move past some of the debates around which we disagree? And can we start talking about the things we do agree on? Reducing teen pregnancy.
If they make a mistake, I don't want them punished with a baby.
Well, the first thing I'd do as president is sign the Freedom of Choice Act. That's the first thing that I'd do. I have stood up for the freedom of choice in the United States Senate, and I stand by my votes against the confirmation of Judge Roberts and Samuel Alito. With one more vacancy on the court, we could be looking at a majority hostile to a woman's fundamental right to choose for the first time since Roe versus Wade, and that is what is at stake in this election. There will always be people, many of goodwill, who do not share my view on the issue of choice. On this fundamental issue, I will not yield, and Planned Parenthood will not yield.
So I listened when our opponent defended his unconditional support for unlimited abortions, and he said that a woman shouldn't have to be, quote, punished with a baby. Ladies and gentlemen, he said that right here in Johnstown, punished with a baby. It's about time that we called him on it.
Assalamu alaikum. Many other Americans have Muslims in their families or have lived in a Muslim majority country. I know because I am one of them. But my father came from a Kenyan family that includes generations of Muslims. As a boy, I spent several years in Indonesia and heard the call of the azan at the break of dawn. I have known Islam on 3 continents before coming to the region where it was first revealed. That experience guides my conviction.
You're absolutely right that John McCain has not talked about my Muslim faith.
As the Holy Koran tells us, the Holy Koran teaches that, the Holy Koran tells us, and the Holy Koran also says, we will convey our deep appreciation for the Islamic faith, which has done so much over the centuries to shape the world.
I would like to speak directly to the people and leaders of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Your great and celebrated culture. Over many centuries, your art, your music, literature, and innovation have made the world a better and more beautiful place. We know that you are a great civilization, and your accomplishments have earned the respect of the United States and the world.
I also know civilization's debt to Islam. Islam is not part of the problem in combating violent extremism. It is an important part of promoting peace. The enduring faith of over 1 billion people is so much bigger than the narrow hatred of a few. In the United States, rules on charitable giving have made it harder for Muslims to fulfill their religious obligation. That's why I'm committed to working with American Muslims to ensure that they can fulfill zakat. It is important for Western countries to avoid impeding Muslim citizens from practicing religion as they see fit.
We are no longer a Christian nation.
We do not consider ourselves a Christian nation.
The United States has been enriched by Muslim Americans. Since our founding, American Muslims have enriched the United States. Islam has always been a part of America's story. There is a mosque in every state in our union, and over 1,200 mosques within our borders.
He did bow to the Muslim king, while he did not do it to the British Queen of England. And by bowing, he showed the world that I am subservient. I do bow down to you as a Muslim king, something no other president has done with Saudi Arabia. The Saudi king is his peer. He is not his subordinate in order to bow for him. And this is exactly what Obama did. Usually it is out of respect that someone would nod his head when bowing to royalty, and the ladies will give curtsy. But Obama went beyond what is required as a head of state and bowed to the Saudi king, and that's unacceptable. It sent the wrong symbol.
When you say it sends the wrong signal, what signal do you think it sends?
It sent a message that Islam is superior to any other master or king or president in the world, that an American president bowed to a Muslim king. It also sent a message that terrorism and jihadism is giving Islam the respect it should have on the world stage, to the point that it made an American president, for the first time in history, bow to a Muslim king.
One thing that I'm absolutely convinced of is that there is a moral and ethical element to this issue. And so I think anybody who tries to deny the moral difficulties and gravity of the abortion issue, I think, is not paying attention. Not because I'm pro-abortion, but because,
as the Holy Koran tells us, the Holy Koran teaches that, the Holy Koran tells us, and the Holy Koran also says,
Which passages of Scripture should guide our public policy? Should we go with Leviticus, which suggests slavery is okay? Or we could go with Deuteronomy, which suggests stoning your child if he strays from the faith? Or should we just stick to the Sermon on the Mount, a passage that is so radical that it's doubtful that our own Defense Department would survive its application? Folks haven't been reading their Bible.
Each of us remain firm in our principles and fight for what we consider right, without, as Father John said, demonizing those with just as strongly held convictions on the other side.
Let me speak as clearly and as plainly as I can. America is not and never will be at war with Islam.
It's hard to think of many issues that could possibly be more important than who is protected in law and who isn't, who is granted life and who is denied it. So when our opponent speaks about questions of life, I listen very carefully.
As the Holy Koran tells us, the Holy Koran teaches that, the Holy Koran tells us, and the Holy Koran also says,
those who speak out against stem cell research may be rooted in an admirable conviction about the sacredness of life, but so are the parents of a child with juvenile diabetes who are convinced that their son's or daughter's hardships might be relieved. The future must not belong to those who slander the Prophet of Islam.